Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are checking out the Poikilo Blades Gecko, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, these knives were sent to the channel by Poikilo, and they're designed and OEM'd by Poikilo. Now, I don't get to keep these knives. I don't get any special treatment. These knives are actually going to go to MC after I'm done with them. And then before we get started, I do want to say how much I appreciate the subscribers, the likes, the comments, all the interaction I'm getting. It means the world. So thank you so much for that, guys. Now, for this review, we're actually going to focus on this version right here. But just so you guys know, these two versions are available. And then there's a non-aspirated smooth titanium version available. And I will have as many versions linked in the description as possible. So taking a look at the Poikilo Gecko, we've got smooth titanium scales. We are heavily aspirated. Now this knife is pretty hot, so these are necessary to keep the temperature low. That way you don't burn yourself. We have some milling right up here. You can take a look at that. And then we've got that same milling down here. And then that follows on the back of the knife. And that's one thing that Poikilo has really nailed is their machining. So like tolerances are super tight and these milling patterns are really clean. Now we don't have any visible hardware outside of the pivot. And if you look, we have the full aspirated holes over here. And then on the back, we have kind of these, not aspirated, but kind of these indents of the same shape, which I think is really cool. We have a tritium slot. And then this is a full titanium milled pocket clip, deep carry. And we also have a spot for a lanyard. We have a full titanium backspacer, and we do have some anodizing. On the very edges of it, we have some blue anodization to match the pocket clip and to match the pivot. As far as ergonomics go, so I've got large-ish, maybe extra large size hands, and I still get a full 4-finger grip. I've got just a little room to spare right here, so I can choke back and I can choke up. And we've got a nice little finger groove right here to kind of give you some of that, extra control for those precision cuts. The overall feel of the knife is really lightweight. And as far as the balance goes, looks like we are slightly butt heavy, but overall it's gonna feel really balanced in hand. We do have some jimping up here, but this jimping is more for indexing than anything else. And for the front flipper, we have a really nice, handsome drop point style blade. We have a belt satin, and then we've got also a belt satin up here on this swedge, and then a hand satin for the flat. If you guys can see that. Sorry about my janky thumb. It's been cut and beaten up a little bit. We don't have a ton of branding. We've got the Poikilo, and we've got their Gecko on the front. We are rocking a flat grind, and the steel is Bowler M398. So I couldn't find a heat treat, but from the conversations I've had with them, I know heat treating is a priority for them. So I would imagine that we are in the range of 60, and I don't know this explicitly, but I imagine we're in the range of like 61 to 63 HRC. And with M398, you want to think of it like a beefed up version of M390, where it's going to be, the toughness isn't great, but it's got excellent edge retention, and it's got good corrosion resistance. Now, as far as the detent goes, one thing to note is that their tolerances are so good that think of it like a Sebenza. These are on bearings, not washers. But whenever I say think of it like a Sebenza, whenever you get these knives, they have a break-in period, right? Where you have to, kind of put them through their paces before they loosen up and get super fidgety. So until then, it's going to feel a little tight. But I've broken this one in, and I could say that the detent is a medium detent. And the weight of the blade isn't really adding a whole lot. I mean, it's lightweight. Sometimes the blades are heavy and it adds to the detent. But overall, this is a medium detent knife. It's super snappy on the open. And currently it's a shake shut. I imagine with a little oil, it would be a controlled drop. The acoustics on the landing are nice and snappy. And then we have an easy front flipper deployment and an easy reverse flick. Lock bar axis is beautiful because you see they've got this scalloped out, and we have a little extra room or a little bit of the lock bar sticking out, so it's easy to access. But they've also gone in and scalloped out part of the lock bar just to make it that much easier to get in, grip it, drop it, shake it closed, and that's it. So overall, the action on this is awesome, very fidgety, but like I said, you're going to need to take a little bit of time to break it in. Now, this knife, I'm going to say, is not lefty friendly. I'm sure lefties could use it, and you can obviously deploy this left-handed and right-handed, but it is lock bar sensitive, so you'd have to be really careful not to touch the lock bar. Otherwise, you're going to have a bit of a hard time deploying it. Now, overall length on this is going to be 7.28 inches with a blade length of 3.1 inches, and that's a blade to handle ratio of 0.74 or 74%. And as you can see, blade to handle ratio looks on point. Now, size comparisons, we're going to do the Civivi Altis first. And the Civivi Altis is going to come in maybe a quarter of an inch shorter. Now I'm still unpacking, so I'm just grabbing the knives that I have available. We're going to do the Vanguard Cheetah next. And the Vanguard Cheetah has it beat by about an inch. And then lastly, we're going to do the TW Price Dawn V3. Excellent knife, by the way. And that's going to have it beat by about half an inch. And I know these two look like they're about the same size, but that's just the angle. They're really not. Now, what's the price on the Poikilo Gecko? The price for this one is coming in at $370. Now, that is not a small amount of money for any knife in general. But what sets this knife apart, and actually what sets the Poikilo line apart, is that the level of machining and precision that you're getting, right? So this is something that Rob's Nerdy Knives said, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. These knives are one step above Riot and one step above like Bestech and WE. Those companies make excellent knives, but Poikilo came out of the gate swinging. And the tolerances, the machining, the fit and finish. If Riot and Bestech were to level up, this is where they would be at, right? So, if you think of, high-end Riots and even some high-end Bestechs, those guys hang out in the $300 price range all day long. So Poikilo is priced very fairly at $370 for this model. Now, is this something that I would carry? Absolutely. This is a fantastic everyday carry. You know, an awesome general EDC profile, and you know, 370 bucks. You know, some people would consider that more of a collection piece, less of a daily carry. But I think the shape and utility of this knife lends itself to being, you know, a very useful, you know, EDC knife. It'll be good for like cutting boxes, opening letters, you know, all sorts of stuff that you would, you know, all the stuff you want to use it for daily. Now, is this the piece I would collect? So, yes. I say that, and for me, it's very rare that something is a user and a collection piece, uh, because typically you know, I like to use, you know, I like to keep them separate. I have some knives I like to use, and then, you know, the collection pieces, I tend to want to keep them pristine. But I think this knife rides the balance so well that I would carry and use it, but I'd also want it to be a permanent collection piece. Now, my question for you is this a knife that would find its way into your collection, or is this something that you would daily carry? Maybe both. Let me know down in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And if you like this video, hit the like button. Otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I appreciate all the love and support. And until the next time, peace.